I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
His charm is so
What is going on? It's not the buttons I push. What's going on? 1 week to go, folks. Merry Christmas and a happy Hanukkah to folks around the world. December 18th, 2024. Can you imagine? We did this in 2020. 1, 2, 3, and now 4. 5 Christmases in a row we spent together. Well, some of us have spent Christmas together, like Hendo and Erica and Valerie and Tony. Tony, I think, was here in the beginning. And Arctic, I think he's been a very, very long time too. Patrick was here in the beginning. And then who else we got there? It's been there from the very beginning. Of course, where is he at? I don't see him. Where is Matthew at? Where's Dylan at? Anyway, all right, well, welcome back to the program, folks. It is December 20th, 2024, 20 degrees Celsius in my house. Kind of toasty, actually. A little too warm. I have to turn that temperature down, save a little power. Stop polluting the planet, producing carbon dioxide. How's the sound on this thing? Let me check. Carbon dioxide. How's this? That sounds all right. Not quite the deep bass it should be. Anyway, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We'll get to the Advents calendar, which is running out now. We're going to talk about some news stories today, but just published a video over on here on the PooTube about Christopher Logan not wanting to pay the $1.5 million in damages that he owes to the owners of the Hank's Old Irish Pub. The guy's name is Papadakis. Doesn't sound very Irish to me. Sounds kind of Greek. I'm just saying. Would you go to an Indian restaurant run by Chen? Would you go to an Italian restaurant run by Ramaklan? I'm just asking. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, we go to all kinds of themed restaurants by a dude named Gordon Ramsay, which he's not French. Anyway, all right. Welcome back to the program, folks. Let's say, hey, Chris Holmes is in from Australia. What's it like down under? Crikey, are you having a barbie? You got the shrimp on the barbie today? What's going on? Seen any koalas getting torched? Ooh, welcome into Chris Holmes. Always a pleasure, Chris. Charles Van Onsling, Christo Els, Chris Sten, Monterey Seabrits, Tony Nage. We got folks in from Cape Town, in from the Alberta oil sands. Tony, notice how I always say oil sands and never say the other word. Sue Walsh, welcome to you. Pablo Charlie is ready for a 20-minute introduction. Sorry to disappoint you, and your embellishment wasn't quite that long. Richard Kuhn, welcome to you. Chris Holmes in from Australia, Charles Van Olsen in from the east coast of South Africa, Matthew Dixon, Lord knows where he's coming in from, Pablo Charlie, and Malcolm Klotz is here. Malcolm's in from Dirtbin as well. How are things on the boat, Malcolm? Things are not so Christmassy, says Patrick. I'm sorry to hear that, Patrick. I hope it improves. Teresa's here. Welcome, Teresa. And Gerard Steenkamp. Pablo Charlie says that's a far-right nationalist song. I suppose, if you say so. I just think it's a great song. Refuting the leftists that are destroying America. Garrett Gilligan from Somerset West. Patrick is here. Meerkat is back once again. Hakan Engman from the Netherlands. Wow, Bosch Zebra is back. Hey, Bosch Zebra, it's been a while, man. How you doing there? Are you well? Arctic is in somewhere flying his aircraft over St. Helena, looking for Napoleon. Apparently, he's lost in time. Who else? I don't know why I said that. It just sounded silly. Tracy is back once again. Welcome, Tracy. Neville Purden. Janet Lydian from South Carolina. And who else we got there? What are the chances the Aussie rugby team improves? I think it will improve. I think the South African, or not South African, excuse me, the Australian, the Wallabies made significant improvements this year over where they were just recently. Michael Cheika, Eddie Jones, they were going nowhere. Now they look like they got some semblance of order. They're not back, and their last loss proved they're not back. But the point is that they've improved dramatically from my perspective. I've covered a lot of Wallabies games this year, and it's been much better. And their nonsense started years ago, but their treatment of Israel Folau certainly indicated just how woke and nonsensical they are. Nothing wrong with being patriotic and loving your country. Exactly. That's not right. That is not right-wing, Meerkat. Loving your country and being patriotic. Yep, that is not right-wing. It's not left-wing. It's patriotism. Plenty of non-Irish owned pubs. I haven't fleshed and not knowingly. I would never go to an Irish pub owned by an Italian or owned by a Greek. That's just sacrilege. I can get that soapy brew known as Guinness anywhere. I don't have to go to an Irish pub. Gary Player and Trumpster are good mates. I did not know that, but I'm not surprised given Gary Player is a world-class golfer and Donald Trump is a huge golf course constructor. I think the only person is probably as famous as him for building golf courses would be Jack Nicklaus. Yep. Matthew's being oppressed. I'm being oppressed. Stop oppressing me. 69 people here. Ouch. The Wallabies will improve. One day they'll be able to take on the Stormers. Actually, today they could take on the Stormers. Ooh, buddy. All right, let's get to the Advents calendar. Day 18 on our calendar. And right there, that one just jumped right at me at the Hello Kitty. Who wants to bet it'll be either a kitty, cat face, or it will be a Hello Kitty, you'll say. No, it's a tree this time. Wow, they got creative finally. The Hello Kitty Advents calendar gave me a Christmas tree. Wow. Oh, Tannenbaum. Oh, Tannenbaum. Yes. All right, looking for 18 over here. Ja, was soll ich denn eigentlich auf Deutsch? Sollen wir etwas auf Deutsch reden heute? Ja, das geht mit Weihnacht. Deutschland. Ah, come on, this thing is slipping. Check out that star, man. That looks like a Morgenstern. You could take somebody out with that bad boy. Yep, all right, cool. That's the Aldi. Let's go for the Lidl. Looking for the 18. Look how quickly this goes now, man. In fact, they just pop right out at you. There's almost none left. All right, and this one, oh, it's a little horsey. It's a little rocking horse. Check it out, little rocking horse. There you go. That's the 3 chocolates. And now for the tea. The pièce de la résistance. I still haven't found a tea that I liked once. There's got to be one in here that I like, the 18th. Okay. Okay. We got that down. The chocolate's out. Put this over here. Ginger tea. No, thank you. Honey chamomile tea. Okay, this I could drink. Okay, not my first choice, but honey chamomile. I don't associate chamomile with the color red. I think more like a pink color, don't you? Or yellow. Anyway, Carlos Magno's here. Welcome. Orange Pico. Yeah, we had Orange Pico a long time ago, Tony. You missed that day. Or I didn't do it on the day. There's a couple days I missed because of events and then doing the rugby, so... Keith Alderson is in from Coventry. How's it going? Sounds good. Chamomile, I think white or yellow. There you go, Shawnee. Hey, Shawnee Gross. What's going on? What's going on in Minnesota? Yeah. No, we're going to the Mall of America this weekend. We're going to talk to them. Yeah, no, I want to pick up some new clothes. We're looking for some Carhartt. You know, Carhartt. That's the farming clothes. You know, we get them in Minnesota. We pick them up and we wear them. It's the really nice, the Carhartt. You know, it's nice stuff. I'm telling you. Oh, they're going to get some snow tomorrow. That's quite lovely. I'm telling you. Hey, listen, Shawnee, have you had some lutefisk yet? You know, it's Christmas time. It's time for some lutefisk. Yeah. No, she was sleeping with the little fella over there. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. You know, it's true. It's so true. You know what? We get the chains out this time of year. We put the chains on the tires. And the tourists, they be coming through from Illinois. And they don't know how to drive on our roads. It's just crazy. Hey? Mall of America, you mean Mogadishu, Minnesota. Well, the Mall of America is actually quite disappointing if you've ever been there, folks. I've been there. I've been to the Mall of America. It is disappointing. I've also been to Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Twin Cities. I watched a Baltimore Orioles game against the Minnesota Twins there. Yep. Also went to the best ever Barnes & Noble I've ever been to in the suburbs of Minneapolis. Yeah, for sure. It was fantastic. There was like books everywhere. I was a book here and a book there. There was a book everywhere. I'm telling you, it was fantastic. Yeah, exactly. There's no reason to go to Mall of America. It's just a waste. It's a waste. Pablo, stop the nonsense. So, Pablo, Mogadishu is not a race. It's a town in Somalia. Twin Cities in the mall. I'll tell you what, I was there some time ago. It was quite lovely. But I came back. It was like after Thanksgiving. Got caught in a snowstorm. Coming back from Minnesota, man, going to Iowa. And I'm going to tell you what. It was crazy. Because the roads in Iowa are like this. They're just straight. They don't have any bends or turns. All they do is draw lines on the map. Okay, you can have your farm here. You can have your farm here. You Sioux Indian. You got to hit the road. Got to hit the road. We're gonna have a farm here. We're gonna have a farm here. And divide them little squares, and then all the roads go like this. They're straight and flat. So coming back from Minneapolis, it's like coming down into Iowa. It's like nothing changes. You get white line fever. All you do is see white lines on the road. And then the snow comes, and the drifts come across. Coming back to Ames, Iowa, man, it was a dicey trip coming back from Minneapolis that time. We here in Holland have our own Mogadishu. Indeed you do. You've even had former members of your parliament who've been actually received death threats who were actually Muslims One of them eventually migrated to America. Apparently, she wasn't safe in the Netherlands, so she had asylum there. Member of Parliament, she had to seek asylum in America. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We got our police carrying long arms, keeping our Christmas market safe this year. Can't quite decide what's the exact cause for this being necessary. Well, the government of the United Kingdom is aware of terror threats against Christmas markets and in shopping pedestrian zones across the UK. They likely have specific targets that they've been able to identify based on human intelligence that they have. And that's what's going on. I suspect the same thing is happening throughout Germany and Belgium and France right now. Yep. It's not nonsense, Pablo. You're crazy as a loon. You're absolutely crazy. So, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, born in 1969, a Somali-born Dutch-American writer, activist, conservative thinker, and former politician, a critic of Islam and advocate for the rights of self-determinated Muslim women, opposing forced marriage, honor killing, child marriage, and female genital mutilation. Of course, they sliced her clitoris off, sick bastards. At the age of 5, following local traditions in Somalia, she underwent female genital mutilation organized by her grandmother. Her father, a scholar and intellectual and devout Muslim, was against the procedure but could not stop it from happening because he was imprisoned by the communist government of Somalia at the time. Her family moved across various countries in Africa and the Middle East. In 1923, she received political asylum in the Netherlands, gaining Dutch citizenship 5 years later. But then, after she renounced her Islamic faith, she had to flee the country. She was involved in Dutch center-right politics with the People's Party of Freedom and Democracy, the VVD. Yep. She was elected in 2003 to the lower house. Yep. Following her outspoken criticism of Islam made her a controversial figure in Dutch politics. Following a political crisis related to the validity of her Dutch citizenship, she left Parliament, ultimately the Netherlands, moving to the United States. Why? Why do we have to take her? Yep. So there you go. Netherlands safer than the U.S. You wouldn't agree with that. No, I wouldn't agree with it. Wouldn't agree with it. No. Have you been to Amsterdam? Jonathan can criticize Muslims and blacks, but he never criticized Jews. So of course you can criticize Jews. Why can't you criticize Jews? You can criticize them for their actions, but not being for Jewish. You can't criticize Muslims for being Muslims. You can criticize them for their actions. You can criticize black folks for being black. No, for their actions. Yep. She has to get her jolly somewhere, says Charles. Optimistic after hearing Gayton's announcement regarding F1 today. I did not hear it. Awkward Leon. Must have come out recently while I was doing a video. I was preparing the video on Christopher Logan's refusal to pay, or his desire not to pay his cost. Wichita, Minnesota are top of my list to avoid at all costs. Wow. Because of the weather? Yeah, Wichita, the weather, I'm guessing. Some are quite large, SUV size. What are we talking about, Hakan Engman? F1 and MotoMP in Kigali, all they do is ride motorcycles. Don't know what you guys are talking about there. Right. Okay, so we do have a bit of news. Got 148 people popped in so far. The hookers in Amsterdam are more dangerous than those in America. Arctic has all kinds of inside information on obscure little tidbits like this. I think we might want to ask him a few more pointed questions at some point. I'm just saying. Arctic. I'm not going to ask you how you know that or why you know that. F1 on Robben Island. Yeah. It's like a 30-second loop. Yep. Yeah, Charles, exactly. How does Arctic know that? What I can say is that as a young man, I traveled to Amsterdam with one of my fellow soldiers and a German. I've told part of the story before. But we walked through the red light district, and it was quite bizarre. Women sitting in the windows of apartments, scantily dressed, trying to drum up business. What I can say is that I don't think I would be inclined to that sort of trade. None of those women was remotely attractive that was in there. Not to mention, I won't get into it. Just no. All right. Bebop Williams says Formula One's snooze fest. Well, I would agree. Vladimir still hires them for pleasure. Okay. Hakan said disagree. The Amsterdam hookers are of absolute highest quality, according to trustworthy sources. What's your source, Hakan? Is it Arctic? Hakan Engman is your source. Is your source Arctic? I don't think that's a good source there. I'm just saying. All right, let's get on to the news before we get too far down this rabbit hole. Whoop, that's the wrong spot. How'd that come up? I want this one. There we go. Johannesburg had an earthquake, and sources report different levels of magnitude. It's actually a really small one. 3.1 is nothing, man. It's like a tremor. Ooh, let's not freak out over that. 3.1 on the Richter scale, which is, of course, German, as many scientific things are, all started by Germans. Richter came up with the scale. Richter would be the correct pronunciation. Richter, not Richter. But hey, in America, we say Richter scale. It's our media. We'll say what we want. Anyway, charges per hour. The other charges per ouch. What's ouch? I think you have a typo there. There's no such thing as an ouch. There's an ouch, but not an ouch. That's something completely different. So, 3.1 on the scale. Dude, you're not supposed to draw on it. Look at him drawing it on there. How can we trust that to be real? A tremor has been recorded. See, it's a tremor. Preliminary earthquake information published by the Council of Geoscience's website obtained from South African National Seismograph Network reflected there was a 3.1 magnitude tremor at about 8:30 last night. The epicenter was Randfontein. City of Johannesburg Emergency Medical Service spokesman Robert Mlaluzi said that no injuries or damages reported. Yeah, well, of course, that's a 3.1 Richter scale. Former Woolworths employee who called black cashiers dumb loses a labor court appeal. Now, why is that? Why is that? First off, there's no evidence that she called anybody dumb. She was sacked after 28 years of working at Woolworths because someone claimed that she called black cashiers dumb. She purports to say, and an eyewitness also says that she said that the cashiers she had to do the day were confused. But even she said they're dumb. Can white people not be dumb? Can black people not be dumb? Is calling someone dumb racist? No. Firing someone over that comment is stupid. And Woolworths is a woke business. One reason why I never shop at Woolies. Not to mention their outrageously high prices. A former employee at a retail giant Woolworths lost her appeal to the labor court after she was dismissed for calling two black cashiers dumb. Gladys Arunchelam, who worked as a supervisor, was employed by Woolworths for 28 years. She was fired in May of 2019 after a disciplinary hearing which lasted just 15 minutes. She did get damages, however. This was just recently awarded her damages for 3 months because she was not given time to respond properly. So they fired her. And I would not shop at Woolworths if that's how they treat their employees. Well, South Africa is imposing massive tariffs on Chinese textile imports. So much for free trade, so much for working with the Chinese. Massive. Yeah, it could be the Zamazamas blasting. That's what I was thinking. South Africa targets China's Amazon with huge tariff on clothing imports. Africa's biggest economy. That's not true, Epic Times. Nigeria is Africa's biggest economy. Says new tax on imported clothing will close loopholes exploited by Chinese companies. South Africa has introduced a 45% tax on all clothing imports, with the measure aimed specifically at exploitative online marketplaces in China. Now, what they're claiming is that these Chinese companies ship their goods in under the window for what can be claimed. But we all know that that's bogus anyway. After having shipped a package that weighed less than 1 pound in South Africa and paying $323 for DHL to deliver in 2 days, which they did, then having corrupt customs scumbags from the South African government holding the package hostage for nearly 2 months, demanding import fees, duty in excess of 7 times the price of the goods. They wanted $500 US for $70 worth of goods. They're scumbags. So I don't really have much sympathy for South Africa's government claiming that the Chinese are shipping in goods evading the duty when you have such a corrupt immigration and customs enforcement system. Nope. Yeah, Temu, that's who they're going after. Oh, how'd you know that, Charles? They're going after Temu. Yep. Many South Africans are unhappy with the measure, which is kicked in just before Christmas. Spokesperson for the South African Revenue Service told the Epic Times the hefty surcharges is a targeted response to 2 Chinese fast fashion online markets that have been described as China's answer to Amazon. Shein and Temu, which were launched in South Africa in 2020 and 2024, export products from China directly to consumers around the world using loopholes to escape tariffs. Their clothes have been extremely popular worldwide, including in South Africa, because they're much cheaper than locally produced apparel. I bought jeans on Temu for 325 Rand. In the shops here in Johannesburg, those jeans sell for almost 1,000 Rand, said Mavis Noklumalo, who was waiting in line for a taxi in the city center. I'm one of many people who cannot afford the clothing made here in South Africa. It's easy for the government to say, buy local. like you see them saying on television. They're rich. We are not. That's why I'm against this tax. And now that makes Temu goods just as expensive as local goods. The director of South Africa's National Clothing Retail Federation, Michael Lawrence, welcomed the new tariff. Of course he does. He likes protectionism. It's always terrible to pay for something, but we have to look at the bigger picture here. It's important that we live in a society where there's equality and fairness. Equality and fairness, Michael Lawrence? Equality and fairness. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Equality and fairness. Brendan Horner. Equality and fairness. Yeah. Okay. The purpose of commerce is not equality or fairness. That's not the purpose of commerce. Purpose of commerce is to trade goods and services. If you want equality, then go sit in a circle and hold hands and do a circle jerk. You want fairness? Then impose the law equally without regard to origin, orientation, or anything. Stupid stuff. These online marketplaces have been using their particular and peculiar modality to exploit loopholes and evade duties. Well, close the loopholes. Their behavior also seriously undermines both our manufacturing capacity and our ability to have good, responsible retail trading for customers. That's horseshit. South Africa's clothing is woefully inadequate for the marketplace and highly overpriced. Yep. Now, South Africa is not alone. The United States has taken similar action against these companies. In September, the Biden regime proposed rules that would hit low-value shipments from China with new taxes to curb the flood of packages from shipping sites such as Shein and Temu. White House said the plan was intended to stop the abuse of an exemption that allowed packages worth less than $800 to enter the country without facing tariffs and other fees. Why is that the case? Why is it when I send $70 worth of goods to South Africa, I'm hit with a $500 customs fee, but anybody can ship crap to my country valued at $800 and not pay any fees? What a crock. What a crock. If you're a commercial business, then you should have to pay the fee. Simple as that. That $800 fee is intended for person-to-person stuff, not sales. I wouldn't buy from Temu Shift, the last place to shop on earth. The drone service testing secret technology. If you want to buy Chinese clothes, just go to Pick and Pay. Well, if you want Chinese clothes, just go. What's the place? Mr. Price. It smells like rubber. Go there. What else? There are apparently many over New Jersey. So, what are you talking about, Huck Cunningham? What's going on? Nigeria's producing their own oil sands. The pipes are leaking a lot. Oh, they've always been leaking. They're also sabotaged. Kurtz is here. Well, Kurtz, so as far as the South African textile sector, it's not entirely ANC's fault. Let me explain why. The multi-fiber agreement by the World Trade Organization under the General Agreement Trades and Tariffs, GATT, not this GATT, but GATT, the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, which predates the World Trade Organization, made an allowance to help developing economies grow. And that allowance was meant to keep cheap exports from China and other producers in Asia from flooding markets around the world. And so what they did is they allowed for the multi-fiber agreement, which meant that if clothing was manufactured in one location and the material sourced elsewhere, like cotton or nylon, came from elsewhere and came in manufactured and assembled in a third party, then it could be exported and it wouldn't face the same restrictions and quotas that Chinese, Taiwanese, Vietnamese goods faced. So under the multi-fiber agreement, the textile industry in Southern Africa, not just in South Africa, flourished in the late 1990s and the early part of the aught decade, but it expired. The multi-fiber agreement eventually expired. When the multi-fiber agreement expired in the early part of this century, it was an absolute disaster. Overnight, hundreds of thousands of textile jobs disappeared in Lesotho, in South Africa, in Swaziland, in even Botswana. Well, did I just break my nail? I feel like I broke my nail. Anyway, these jobs disappeared. Why? Because the artificial modality of giving access to Western Europe, Japan, and the United States marketplaces by manufacturing the goods in third-party locations like Southern Africa, when that advantage went away, there was no advantage to producing the goods there. Number one, the productivity of textile firms in Southern Africa is atrocious. The work ethic of most people in South Africa is atrocious. And so productivity is low. Now, add to that all the things that have happened since 2003, 2005 timeframe when the multi-fiber agreement expired. You've got to provide your own electricity, you've got to provide your own security, you've got to provide your own transport. There's no rails, there's no links to do things. You face constant harassment. Plus, you have to give a huge percentage of your equity to people based on their skin pigmentation, not on their qualifications. Hence, those actions would have driven these people out of the marketplace anyway, even without the multi-fiber agreement expiring. But the multi-fiber agreement is what caused a nosedive in clothing, textile manufacture, and shoe manufacture in South Africa, not the ANC. Not the ANC. It was an artificiality. It was artificial that ever existed. However, subsequent to that, ANC actions would have caused it to collapse. So yeah, you can blame them, but they're not actually responsible. They would have been. So there you go. Netherlands is being terrorized by libtard trash socialist bootlicking who bend over demand, says Carlos. I agree. So is the UK. Arresting Christians for practicing their faith, but then Muslims insult Christianity by holding prayers on the grounds of churches, invading churches, disrupting church services. Yet if anyone goes near a mosque, you're arrested. You don't even have to, just walking down the street, you get arrested. What else we got here? The drones over New Jersey. It's been on mainstream news for a long time, Hakan, and I've been talking about these drones forever. Now everybody suddenly cares. True that, Colonel Chris Wyatt. The most useless people in the Itiquini municipality were progressed at the expense of hard workers. Exactly. Charles can attest to this firsthand. He knows the abysmal work ethic of people who were pushed into promotions, pushed into work when they weren't doing the job. Yep. So we used to have a thriving textile. Yes, Meerkat, you did. Artificially. It wasn't genuine. True, but overall it knows not to be compared with the late, great UK. I think so, Pablo. All right, don't forget not to use the water. Don't forget not to use the water to clean your teeth or drink without boiling for a couple of days. At least now it's back on. Oof. Ugh. Talmud and Joburg. Yeah. Okay, so Spaza shop owners, the clock is ticking. Tuesday is the deadline, the artificial deadline created by Cyril Ramaphosa to steal the informal sector away from foreign nationals. The owners of Spaza shops and other food handling facilities have said the lack of information regarding the registration of their businesses led to delays as they rush to meet President Ramaphosa's outrageous, ridiculous, moronic, stupid, frickin' Mampara-like deadline. Scores of people were waiting in queues at the Jabulani Civic Center in Soweto on Tuesday morning, the last day for them to register their business with the municipality as ordered by Ramaphosa. And I predict the Christmas for these folks will be massive raids on informal sector and Spaza shop, destroying the lives and businesses of people who the government has failed to regulate and failed to care about and ignored for decades, and suddenly they care because of some artificiality. That's what's going to happen for Christmas. These people are going to lose their lives. Yes, I do think Spaza shops should pay tax. I think the informal sector should be stamped out. I think the informal sector should be incorporated into the formal sector. There are lots of problems with the informal sector, not the least of which is a lack of regulation and oversight. Of course, that's a problem throughout South Africa, even in the formal sector. But the informal sector flourishes because it evades taxation, because it evades regulation, because it evades safety measures and standards. That's the same the world over. The world over. There's a reason why we have certification for plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians. There's a reason for that. You don't send unqualified, functionally illiterate, criminal alien invaders from Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, and Mexico to build homes in Pennsylvania illegally when they're not even allowed to be here, who aren't qualified as carpenters, masons, electricians, HVAC technicians. They're the morons who installed the fucked up cabling in my house that cost me thousands of dollars to repair in a brand new house. Because no oversight. That's in a developed economy with oversight. An economy like Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Ghana, South Africa, the informal sector can be a disaster. Now, that said, the informal sector delivers goods and services that hundreds of millions of people in Africa rely on to survive. That's a statement of fact as well. I am all for incorporating the informal sector into the economy for a host of reasons. Not the least of which is protect consumers. So that's my thought. Who asked that question? That was Awkward Leon. So what do you think of my response, Awkward Leon? Where is the nuke that the drones are looking for? What nuke? Oh, that's another conspiracy theory. Might need to read the 2023 National Preparedness Report from FEMA in the new year. You're looking for some sleep, Shawnee? I must say London's the most beautiful city I've ever seen. No, it's not. No, it's not. It was one of the most beautiful cities. It's not anymore. It's congested. It's overgoverned. It's undergoverned. It's full of crime. It's full of non-English people. It's not even English. It's not even English. So it's also a city that assaults the senses with its architecture. I mean, the Needle, while I find it a fascinating building, is woefully out of place where it's located at, just across from the fricking, Tower of London. It's insane. Boksburg was a bit wild west today. Thankfully, the perps were caught after hijacking. Okay. Wow. Okay. Taxis should also pay tax. Of course, they should be regulated. So I remember one of the first episodes I ever watched of Carte Blanche, and some of you, if you watch Carte Blanche religiously, may remember this episode. This must have been around the year 2000. Carte Blanche did an episode in which they were investigating taxis, the combis. So they went out and they watched and recorded a black and white police officer take bribes for the sticker or whatever it is that goes in them to say that it had been inspected. The vehicle had never been inspected. So now it was certified as having passed the roadworthiness test because of crooked cops. So they went and they tested the vehicle. Bear in mind, there are 4 brakes. Each tire has a brake system, right? Okay, 2 on the front, 2 on the back. They tested it. So let's go with the figure of 400. So each brake is 100%. So 100, 200, 300, 400%. So you should have 400% of braking power, okay? Or you could reduce, say, 25%, but that makes it more complicated. Just say 400, okay? Of the 4 brakes, only the driver's side brake on the front right function. So we're already at 100% out of 400%. 75% of the braking power is already gone. But that brake only tested at 18% of capacity. So that means that out of 400, divide 18 by 4. That's not even 5% of the braking power. This is a vehicle that takes a dozen or more people loaded into it and driving recklessly through the streets of Pietermaritzburg every single day. This is why the informal sector must be regulated. True story, folks. Anybody ever watched that episode of Carte Blanche? We still had high standards back then, 0 standards because jobs are protected. You pay them $5 an hour and pray your house doesn't implode. Yeah, it would put you to sleep. Yep, okay. A hot topic. Might have been too early in reporting. No, Hakan, I've been reporting out this week as well. I've been reporting. My concern, it started with the balloon last year. That's when I started reporting these incidents, started paying closer attention, when the balloon flew over the United States and was not shot down by the corrupt Biden regime because their Chinese paymasters were telling them to let the plane spy on us. It had been easier for them just to take the stack of documents that Joe stole from the safe that were located in the Biden think tank in D.C. and just hand the documents over. That'd been a lot easier. Just give them, the password to access a network. That would have been a lot simpler rather than letting this thing fly across the country. Yep. Yeah, Charles, I'm sure he was burning up his clutch to slow down. Absolutely. Yeah, the taxi that had a spanner for a steering wheel. I remember that one too. Yep. It's unlike a tax to be taxed. First, township dwellers need to be relocated nearer to their work, as is the case in most cities 2 or 3 miles away from work. Keith, you must be talking about the UK. Nobody is within 2 or 3 miles of work in America. Nobody. Not a single person. Maybe a couple stock traders who live in uptown Manhattan who walk or take the subway down to Wall Street. But no, we don't live. I lived the closest. So the closest I ever lived to where I worked, ever, probably was when I lived on Fort Meade and worked on Fort Meade. I drove a mile, but that was an exception. But then shortly after, I drive to D.C. every day, 34 miles. I live 10 miles from where I worked, 16 kilometers from where I worked at every day. So that's 2 to 3 miles. That's a pipe dream. 34 adults removed from a taxi. I believe it. Yep. I believe it. Salzburg is much nicer than Budapest, but then Salzburg is much nicer than most places, folks. Salzburg, ja, in Österreich, das gefällt mir. Sehr gut. Yeah, brilliant. So spas and shop owners. A sanctioned Russian billionaire yacht is rocked up in Cape Town. Yet another affront to South Africa to U.S. national security interest. A sanctioned Russian oligarch. His $120 million yacht now docked in Cape Town. Yet another insult to America. Well, in case you're not paying attention, ANC, Joe Biden's leaving. Donald Trump's coming. Super yacht valued in the region of $120 million. That's over 2 billion rand. Belonging to a sanctioned Russian businessman is docked in Cape Town. Vessel is owned by Alexander Alexandrovich Setakova, Russian property tycoon whom the United States has sanctioned. The yacht is called Cloudbreak. Wow, 237-foot nautical masterpiece sailing under Cayman Islands flags arrived in Cape Town earlier in the month after leaving Cape Verde. It's unclear when the yacht is scheduled to depart. What about during the Gulf War? A con during the Gulf War. I don't know how my abode was a tent, and it moved on a daily basis, kind of like the Bedouins. So you're trying to be cheeky there, but I get your point. Actually, that was I stand corrected. The closest I ever was at work when I was in Germany as a lieutenant in the 3rd Battalion, 8th Cavalry, before I went to the Gulf War and when I came back, because I literally walked to work every day. It was 200 meters from my apartment to my office. Yep, in the back gate. Yep. Severe weather alert, level 5 thunderstorms reported across the eastern part of South Africa. Public is advised to take heed of weather warnings issued by the South African Weather Services for today and tomorrow. Prediction model forecasts a severe orange level 5, widespread showers and thunderstorms. Orange level 5 over the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. Orange level 5? Is this a Trump alert? Well, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Logan, the man who has been fined 1.25 million rand. I think I said 1.5. It's 1.25 million rand. Maybe I'm considering the interest. I'm not sure. Is trying to get the decision removed. He says he was not treated fairly. It's unfair. Didn't get a chance to respond. But that's not what his opponent's lawyers say. Christopher Logan wants the order rescinded in the 1.25 million Hank's Old Irish Pub action. The self-described surfer who defamed Hank's Old Irish Pub on Bree Street and accused them of assault, for which authorities found no reason to prosecute. The decision was found in August of 2023 that the pub had committed no offense, yet he's never apologized for his actions. The 2026 municipal elections should be a dress rehearsal for the 2029 elections. Wow, such insight coming from the MK party. Well, there you go, as if we didn't know that. The MK party celebrated its first anniversary. We already talked about that. Now that the party is celebrating its first anniversary, the festive is over. The head of presidency, Magasela Mzoba, says the Euro Party will focus its efforts on claiming power over KwaZulu-Natal. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic of secession has not come up recently. Cape independence has kind of died off, as I said it would. I said for the May 29th elections, no one's going to talk seriously about Cape secession for at least 6 months or the beginning of next year. And here we are. Here we are. But I'm not talking about Cape secession. I'm talking about KZN secession. What is the purpose of MK wanting to take over the Zulu region of KZN? To rule it. Why do they want to rule it? To break away, potentially. Yes, Malema does look very thin. But then so does Ariana Grande. She looks very ill. Ugh. The garden route, mop-up of fires still continuing on the garden route. Firefighting efforts at the garden route have entered a 5th day, and officials hope to seal off the affected area in Melkhoutfontein on Tuesday. They've been battling the blaze since it flared up over the weekend. So, McKenzie extends support for Nati and pledges more pay for living legends. Okay, I have a problem with this. I have a serious problem with this. South African media personality Nati Nyake shared a video on her Instagram that has gone viral over social media. The video captures Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gate McKenzie, offering his unwavering support for her and making a bold declaration. I've never spoken to Nati, but she's going to blossom. And while I'm the minister, she will represent us on stages, and the ones that we're planning that this woman must be destroyed, they got something coming. No person must be destroyed. Whether we like people, we must make sure their talent gets appreciated. This thing is South Africa where we destroy people when we don't like them. It must come to an end. It will come to an end with me. Well, Gayton, then I encourage you to stand up publicly for Ronaldo Khus. People must not be destroyed. Stand up for Ronaldo Khus in public. Why is the Minister of Sports a ridiculous position to begin with? Sports, arts, and culture. Any country that needs a Minister of Sports, arts, and culture is really not a legitimate country. Sports, arts, and culture are private activities, and that's where they should flourish. No artist should be propped up by any government, ever. If you can't make it on your own, then you don't make it on your own. Where is this offer of support for Monty Jackson, for Steve Hofmeyer, for Giselle, for Juanita Duplessis, Ruan Josh? I don't see any offer of support for them. Where is the support for these artists? It's no present. Not there. Whether the money is coming from the public or private sector isn't germane. He should not be talking about paying her $15,000 to $50,000 a month for being a living legend. Who's she a legend? I've never even heard of Nati Nyasi. Never heard of her. It's just a scam. It's a scam. And you should stay out of it, government. Get your nose out of the private sector. If a private foundation wants to raise money to support artists, that's their prerogative. But a government being involved, wasting government resources, either paying artists who then become agents of the state or organizing efforts on behalf of the artist is a misuse of government resources. Now, if you want to promote your artist, that's fine. But it is not your responsibility to ensure they get payment. Where is the support for Donny van de Westhuizen? He's a musician. I don't see any support coming from the government for him. Isabel dos Santos. Well, Al Jazeera has caught on the fact that she's a corrupt scumbag. Isabel dos Santos, the wanted felon, wanted accused criminal from Angola, is suddenly in the news because Al Jazeera decided to write about her. This is old news. Facing sanctions investigations in Angola, the United Kingdom, the U.S., and Portugal. The mixed race Isabel dos Santos with a Russian mom and an Angolan dad. Yep, once celebrated as Africa's first female billionaire by Forbes Africa, because Forbes Africa is a bogus publication that is too lazy to do basic research, and they promoted her as a vaulted genius, as Africa's first female billionaire. She stole all the money. She's a thief. The daughter of Angola former president Jose Eduardo dos Santos told the UK's BBC that the sanctions posed last month by the UK were part of a politically motivated plot by Angola's government against her and her family. No, sweetheart. There's nothing politically motivated here. You're a thief. You stole the money from the people. You have no business owning all these things. No business owning. 51-year-old's facing a myriad of international sanctions, asset freezes, and corruption allegations, with Angola and other countries pursuing legal actions against her. She denies all allegations against her. During the tenure of Dos Santos, his daughter became a prominent figure in Angola's business landscape. Forbes declared her Africa's first female billionaire in 2013. I remember the cover. And in 2016, she was appointed chair of Angola's state oil company, but was dismissed in November the following year. Yes, Dos Santos was born in 1973 in Azerbaijan, in Baku, oil world. Yeah, where her father was studying and where he met her Russian mother, Tatiana Kukanova. Yep. In 2020, Luanda leaks some 700,000 documents dealing with how the family fortune was built using Angolan public money, which was siphoned off from into onshore accounts, released by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. Portuguese hacker Rio Pinto later claimed responsibility for Luanda leaks, saying he'd handed over a hard drive containing all data related to the recent revelations concerning Miss Isabel dos Santos. Yep. Yeah, she's just a thief. So why is she in the news? Well, that storm Cheeto, which sacked Mayotte, didn't finish. Once it hit land, it also killed people. At least 7 killed in Malawi. The storm named Cheeto killed at least 7 people in Malawi and affected more than 30,000 others, according to officials. Wow. 7,721 households, representing 34,741 people, were affected. 3 people died in the Salima district. Kasungo, Machinga, Blantyre, and Lilongwe districts also each recorded 1 death. Wow. That's that storm that just destroyed Mayotte. Continued on land. Air Portugal is moving its crews from Maputo to Johannesburg out of an abundance of caution with the continuing unrest that's being unfolding in Mozambique, which nobody's reporting on. No major media outlets are reporting on the carnage taking place, the demonstrations, the protests, the fires being lit on the streets, the cops being attacked. No one's reporting on that. Why? Why is there a press blackout of what's happening in Mozambique? Why is it not front page news? Because they're black? Nobody gives a shit? Why? Whether people like it or not, whether they're black or white or brown, Mozambique does matter to South Africa, to Zimbabwe, to Eswatini especially. All your exports going through Maputo, sugar, and imports coming in from there. Oh my goodness. Wow. Air Portugal has moved its crews. TAP is contemplating moving crew members from safe houses in Mozambique to South Africa in anticipation of trouble after ruling about next week. The October 9th vote is still causing chaos in Mozambique 2 months after the vote. And a decision by the court next week will likely lead to more protest as the opposition refuses to accept anything but a victory in a highly contested election. Well, the Congo has filed a criminal complaint, against Apple in Europe over conflict minerals. Democratic Republic of Congo, which is not democratic, has filed criminal complaints against Apple subsidiaries in France and Belgium, accusing the tech firm of using conflict minerals in its supply chain. Congo is a major source of tin, tantalum, and tungsten, the so-called 3T minerals used for computers and mobile phones, but some artisanal mines are run by armed groups involved in massacres, civilians, mass rapes, looting, and other crimes. Apple does not directly source primary materials and says it audits suppliers. So, why in the world are they suing Apple? Because it has money, which means you'll pay more for your Apple devices. Apple doesn't buy the conflict minerals from the people directly. So, Tiny coffins. Measles, a childhood disease which should be eradicated, is making a comeback across Africa and even parts of America where immigrant families are showing a presence. People refusing to get vaccines for their children. We have something called MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, and it prevents measles, which is a horrible disease. Problems with getting vaccines to families have left many children unvaccinated and in danger of contracting the virus. Wira Malu Bote could not bear to close his daughter's coffin. Waiting to bury her, he slid the rough wooden lid back again and again to adjust her small head and smooth the cloth that cradled away from her cheeks. Olive died of measles at the age of 5 the evening before. She was the first child to die that weekend in an emergency measles treatment center in the town of Pico in the northwest Democratic Republic of Congo. The second was her cousin, a 1-year-old girl. Measles is sweeping through the children of Bikoro as it does every couple of years, creeping, then flaring across this vast country. It's also on the rise in other parts of the world, including some communities in the United States. Though the measles vaccine has been used here since 1963, there were more than 311,000 reported cases of measles in the Congo last year. 6,000 of them led to deaths. Wow. Measles is on the rise. Why in the world are children getting measles? Immunize your children. What is wrong with you people? What the hell is wrong with you people? Immunize your children. An overcrowded boat is capsized in the Congo, killing at least 25. Dozens more are missing. The vessel was believed to have more than 100 passengers on board, probably overloaded, after leaving from the town of Inongo on the northeast, the capital of Kinshasa. Capsized a few hundred meters into the journey along the Fiume River, latest tragedy to strike Congo. Search for the missing was underway hours later as concerns arose the death toll could be far higher. Yes, it will likely be far higher than the 25. It's the 4th time this year in the Mai Noba province that boats have sunk. At least 78 people drowned back in October when overloaded boats sank in the country's east, and 80 lost their lives in June in a similar accident near Kinshasa. And why is this? Because these boats are not regulated properly. They're in the informal sector. That's why. That's why. That's why. Well, the military junta can celebrate Niger National Day today, the illegitimate government of Niger, which overthrew the democratically elected government of Mohamed Bazoum, the first Arab leader of the majority black African country. On behalf of the United States, I congratulate the people of Niger as they celebrate Republic Day. We recognize the resilience of the people of Niger and the significant sacrifice they've made as Niger marks this milestone. The United States continues long-standing support for Nigerians in their development and democratic process. Today, we affirm our partnership and support with the aspirations of the people of Niger. Notice it's not with the government of Niger because it's illegitimate, it's corrupt. Well, Assad soldiers are making a foolish mistake, turning themselves into terrorists who are identifying them while they wait in line and disarming them. How soon before they're rounded up and executed? I would not be doing this. I'd be looking for asylum elsewhere if I was in the Syrian military. Syria's new rulers say they will spare conscripts of Bashar al-Assad and pursue those who oversaw his regime's abuses. Hundreds are lining up to learn which promise applies to them. Hundreds of soldiers and police officers converged this week on a former security compound in the western city of Latakia, heeding the call of the country's new rulers to relinquish their ties to the ousted regime. Yep, so they're all coming there to surrender. And they sit around with their numbers in their hand. These will be those who are buried in mass graves before you know it. Oh my goodness. Pretty scary thought. You get conscripted into a military and that's what happens to you. Well, Australia's deficit is $22 billion worse than they predicted. Well, that's not good. But look at these smiling, cackling fools up there from the Albanese government. Australian Labor Treasurer Jim Chalmers, Finance Minister Katie Gallagher, and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese speak to the media during a press conference on November 29th. New figures revealed Australia's financial position to be heading in a worse position than originally predicted. The forecasted deficit for the current financial year is $26.9 billion, an improvement of $1.3 billion. But over the next 4 years, the combined deficit will reach $143.9 billion. That's almost $22 billion worse than originally predicted. Treasurer Jim Chalmers released the latest figures in the mid-year economic and fiscal outlook. So why might Australia's deficit be so large? Could it be because they're wasting government money in the private sector, pledging $100 million to build 3 large batteries? They've committed $100 million to Neon, a renewable energy developer, for 1.3 gigawatts of renewable energy and battery storage projects across Australia. Why is the private sector not doing this? Why is the government taking taxpayer money to do this? The Albanese government has announced a $100 million investment to strengthen its renewable plan, funding 3 regional big batteries and a solar farm. Wow, the Clean Energy Finance Corporation has committed this amount to Neon. Yeah, well, that's something funded by the government. Honda and Nissan say they're exploring a merger. This is a shocking development. A possible combination comes after struggles for both automakers in China and a downturn for Nissan in the U.S. So what will we call it? Nisanda? Hansan? Nisanda and Hansan. Nissan stock rose 24% on the news. Honda's dropped. That'll give you an indication of who the healthier company is. Honda's healthier than Nissan. So shall we call it Nisanda or Hansan? I think Nisanda sounds better. Nisanda. Wow, this is a huge development if they merge. Yep. Nissan, of course, has a tie-up with Renault, which makes it all the more complicated. The combination would allow Nissan and Honda to seek synergies in purchasing technology development, but also present challenges for the companies with different cultures and partly overlapping vehicle lineups. Yep. Last month, Nissan announced restructuring and a loss of 9,000 jobs globally. Not looking good. Not looking good. Well, inflation is coming back in the United Kingdom, rising to its highest rate since March. Britain's Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. UK inflation has risen to its highest level since March, and it's the second rise in a 2-month period, driven by an increase in fuel prices. Well, so much for inflation being tamed. Germany's business mood hits post-pandemic lows, I should say. Well, that was a war to me, the pandemic. Post-pandemic lows, stoking recession jitters. Business Climate Index slipped, marking a 6th fall in 7 months, and its lowest level since May of 2020 during the height of the scamdemic. Business confidence in Germany darkened this month as the government of Chancellor Olaf Scholz fell apart and the country's manufacturers struggled to get back on their feet. Yep, of course they struggle on their feet. The world's highest energy prices are killing them. Arctic says, explain to me like I'm 5. How do all governments around the world owe money to who? No countries in the green now. That's actually not true. Norway is in the green. Kuwait is in the green. There are a number of countries. Malaysia, to my knowledge, is in the green. I don't know the current state of Taiwan, but I suspect it's probably healthy too. How is it all governments owe money? It's very simple. All right, so what you do is you borrow money from people. Okay, so I issue a bond for $100. I actually have an account with the Treasury Department where I can buy bonds. So issue a bond, the Treasury Department. Okay, you buy it, and they pay you interest. That's the debt. Or you buy a savings bond. That's the debt. Treasury bills, Treasury notes, Treasury bonds, savings bonds. That's how it's done in America. Very simple. Very simple. We used to be a net creditor nation. We used to loan more money abroad than we borrowed. Now we're a net creditor nation. We borrow more money than we loan. That's how. So does that explain it like a 5-year-old? Even the Dutch and the 1700s can make better boats. Better boats than who? Okay. Bunch of us kids in Kimberley got measles, mumps, rubella inoculation at 5 years old, got infected. 2 or 3 kids died. A few more lost their arms. One was in the hospital. Spent a hospital. That doesn't make any sense, Richard. Measles, mumps, rubella vaccine doesn't cause people to lose their arm. I don't know what you're talking about there. Trudeau has left the country. Will return. Okay. Well, good to see him leave the country. Where's he going to go? Hopefully a non-extradition country. Russia has detained a suspect in the assassination of that lieutenant general. The Russian prosecutor's office said the suspect, a 29-year-old Uzbekistani citizen, confessed to planning the bomb on the orders of Ukrainian agents. Russian authorities said on Wednesday they detained the suspect in the killing of senior military officer Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov. The suspect, a 20-year-old Uzbek, whose name is not released, was detained in a village outside Moscow. Spokeswoman for the detainee had confessed that Ukrainian intelligence agencies recruited him to kill Kirillov. Wow. He traveled to Moscow and placed a bomb under a scooter near the general's home. Installed a camera inside a parked rental car that transmitted the general's movements to intelligence agents. He was promised $100,000 in safe passage to Europe for carrying out the plot. We have more proof the Kiev regime does not stop at anything, including terrorism, says Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman. And he's right. He's right. That's terrorism. That's not legitimate. Canada reveals border security plan to avert to Trump tariff pledge. Well, Juicy Trudeau is paying attention. Officials plan to spend $900 million on drones, helicopters, and new agents. Nearly $1 billion. Wow. Wow. Actually, more than $1 billion. 1.3 billion Canadian dollars over a 6-year period to improve border security, to acquire dogs, drones, helicopters, mobile surveillance towers, and deploy hundreds of new border agents. Well, good luck with that, Juicy. You're done. You're done. You are done, Juicy Trudeau. How Trump's tariffs threaten to push Juicy Trudeau out of government. Al Jazeera writing this story. He's on the brink of resignation. Little Juicy Trudeau, son of Fidel Castro. Canada's embattled prime minister faces fresh calls to resign after top minister steps down over a possible tariff war. Yeah, this guy is about as popular as syphilis. The Pentagon has repatriated some Guantanamo Bay detainees. Prisoners were airlifted from Guantanamo Bay in a secret operation nearly a year after they admitted to serving as foot soldiers for the accused Indonesian terrorist leader Hambali. Pentagon said on Wednesday that it had repatriated 2 Malaysian men from its prison in Guantanamo Bay. A rare transfer a day after the Pentagon released another prisoner to the custody of Kenya reduced the detainee population to 27. The freed prisoners, Mohammed Nazir bin Lep, 47, and Mohammed Farik bin Amin, 49, have been held in the United States since 2003. They were returned to the custody of the Malaysian government in supervision of its de-radicalization program. Before they left, the men gave sworn testimony that prosecutors hope will be useful in the eventual trial of Ensep Nurjaman, the Indonesian prisoner known as Hambali, the mastermind behind the Bali bombing and other terrorist activities. All 3 men were held for years after capture in Thailand in the CIA's secret prison network that used torture in its interrogations. They were transferred to military prison in Cuba in 2006, but military did not formally charge them at the court until 2021. And why is that? This is a disgrace and a stain on America. Why is Guantanamo Bay still holding people who have not been charged and prosecuted for the alleged crimes? You do not simply make people disappear, even unlawful combatants. Even unlawful combatants deserve to be charged or released. This is a disgrace by Republican and Democratic administrations, by the United Nations, the United Nations High Commissioner, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch. Why are they silent on this? They went silent on it when it no longer raised money for them. That's why they took the cause up, because it raised money for them from lefties. When lefties stopped giving them money, they stopped caring. Oh, Wednesdays with a Colonel. Is it Wednesday? My goodness. I got carried away there. Sorry, Ronaldo, but other things going on. Let me go ahead and get started with that. Ronaldo's falling asleep. I wonder why he's falling asleep. New meeting. New meeting. I don't want that. Stop that. And E for all. Schedule. Sorry. Sorry, Ronaldo. My bad. My bad. Wow. My bad, Ronaldo. I'll get you a link here. Folks, got distracted with the news there, didn't I? Wow. I'm glad I'm glad Ronaldo shot. I was wondering what Ronaldo's going on about sleeping there. Okay, there you go. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow, that's embarrassing. I got so distracted by what's going on. All right, we're going to end it there, folks. 99 people here. Ronaldo's laughing. It's all good. Yeah, Ronaldo, honestly, I forgot it was Wednesday, man. I knew it was this morning, but I've been working since 7 o'clock this morning. And I was busy making that video of Christopher Logan, which nobody's watching. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I could say it's because I'm old, but I'm not old yet. So Ronaldo would say I'm old. Why does it not? It used to show me channels that I link to, but now it doesn't do it. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Where's it at? All right. Ronaldo. Where We're the ones. There we go. Wednesdays with the Colonel. There we go. All right, so we got it. My apologies to everybody, including Ronaldo. I just lost it. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up here. I better switch over before Ronaldo joins the DA. The Wyatt Independent News Network. We're going to switch over now. So, answer the Colonel. Yeah, it's happening, guys. It's happening. Okay. 99 people here, and we'll see how many people go over. Some are already leaving. See you there in a few moments. Thanks, folks. Sorry about that. Going to dump us. No, Arctic, I have an obligation. I have a commitment, and I'm 7 minutes behind. So, yes, I'm going to go over there, Arctic. I have a commitment. I should have started this program earlier, but I was busy. All right. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here.